Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Poetalk. Today we're going to be talking about racing. Racing season, or racing, we'll call it racing weekend, is coming up shortly, the weekend of the 10th of February. And today I'm joined here with PoLab as usual, and then we also have two special guests, Dsfarblarwaggle, or Waggle, and Helmannn. Go ahead, Waggle, introduce yourself for people that don't already know you.
Hey, I'm Dsfarblarwaggle. I like to play Path of Exile, and I also race a lot on Shadow.
All right.
And that's about it.
And where can they find you? Because it's going to be posted on YouTube as well. Where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/name under my face. So I
Yeah.
don't have to say it because you guys won't know how to
Enjoy
type it out
spelling
anyway.
that. Yes, sir. Waggles loud. All right. And then go ahead, Helman, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Helmannn. If you've been in the Pee-wee community at some point and done a race, you've probably seen my name. Been around since open beta came out, streaming the whole time. So yeah, you can find me. Same Twitch TV Helmannn and YouTube Helmannn. Same way it's spelled underneath my face.
Awesome. So we're going to start it off today. We're going to be talking about the rewards of racing. Mainly because there's two different kinds of rewards, and I'm sure if you guys have noticed the difference between if it's a season, there seems to be alt art items, and there's like this long racing season that gives you like really cool alt art items that you can only get by earning enough points and getting them. And then for these weekend ones, they've gotten away from doing the alt art items, and they're just doing MTX rewards. And how do you guys feel about that? Are you for it,
Uh,
against it? Would you rather have MTX rewards versus alt art or alt art versus MTX?
well, I prefer the alt arts personally, but I do think that the MTX kind of fits the weekend race thing that they're doing now better. I don't think alt arts would work as well.
Yeah, if they did alt arts, you can't do alt arts for a weekend race, then it promotes people to literally like no life the entire weekend and do every single race. And having MTXs as rewards, as you see in the past, like for past leagues they've done, where you can get like the Power Ranger costumes with the gold and the blue and the red. It actually
Yeah.
promotes a lot of participation. So, if they are going to continue with the race weekends, I think having the MTX rewards is a good idea for that specifically.
What do you think about a mixture of both? Somebody was mentioning that they thought it'd be pretty cool to have an overall goal of having like a pretty cool altered item for a certain number of participation points, whatever points you can earn during the weekend, but then also still having the MTX rewards.
I
I
mean,
mean, just for the weekend scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of, I mean, because right now, I mean, there's no seasons, or even vice versa. Even so, say they bring back a season, do you think it'd be a good idea for them to add in some kind of MTX rewards for the lower rankings, like
I
for
think
people
that
that
would be a
can't
good
score
idea.
first? Give
I
people
don't
a
know
little bit
so
more
much
incentive.
as far as like bringing alt arts into the weekends. I don't know how it would work very well, but I think bringing MTXs into like a race season could have been something that they did in the past, or maybe they do it in the future if we get another season.
I think the whole thing is theoretically, eventually you're gonna be able to use your alt arts that you've accumulated and put them into your MTX tab and use them throughout different leagues. That's something they've talked about for years and years and years, and they haven't done yet. So essentially, getting an alt art is the same thing as getting the MTX eventually, but currently that's not an option.
3.0, right? 3.0. They keep touting 3.0 as the game changer.
So if that's an option, yeah, but MTX rewards definitely promote a lot of people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. You can see that in people going for challenges, going for 24 challenges where they normally wouldn't even care about them, going for 36, etc., just to get like different MTX rewards they wouldn't normally get in the game.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would bring a lot of more players actually playing if we kind of mixed it in like that. Like you said, more incentive. New players are like, "Oh, MTX, I don't have to buy it. I can earn one."
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that as well.
most casual players don't care about alt arts, so
I really
especially
like
with
the option of getting an alt art It makes it like because right now, I mean, I witnessed a trade. It was 840, or no, 850 exalts for an alt art alpha's howl, and I was like, what the hell? I mean, I get that it's rare, and I get that there's only a couple left that aren't like used, but you can't even use it in leagues, and that's the majority of players. Um, Having it as a skin transfer, oh god, that would be so cool. It looks sick. It really does. I don't know if I'd ever pay that much money for it, but or in-game currency.
Yeah, then that goes back to if the rewards were in your MTX tab, then you'd probably use it, because if you could use it, league after league. But as it stands now, you use it once, and then the next league you can't use it anymore.
You can play it in standard. What do you
sitting on
mean?
standard.
So, which do you guys prefer, weekends or seasons?
I think they both have their merits, especially a lot of times GGG doesn't either doesn't have the time to set up a race season, or doesn't want to do a race season because it takes away from other stuff they have going on in the game. Because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a decent amount of people will do a race season, won't play in the leagues anymore, and that helps the leagues die even quicker. So I think they have their merits, but I definitely prefer a season because it provides more competition, and I like getting altarts.
I love when they add a season in the middle of a league, and I'm playing the league, and people are doing racing, and I message somebody for an item that I want to buy from them. It's a good price. It's perfect for my needs, and then all of a sudden, I'm in race, or they don't respond at all. I love that.
That's me right there.
Yeah, about that.
No response. So D&D mode on.
What about you, Waggle?
I
Seasons
definitely
versus
prefer
weekends?
race seasons over the weekend.
Now,
The weekends, they're okay, but
what do you think about they did like that week flashback race? What do you think about that?
I've never really done too
Or was
much
it
on
2 week?
long duration races, week races, 2 week races, like
See,
anything that lasts a long time. I don't know. I'd get into one if they did one now, but just in the past, I haven't. I've either not been able to commit the time to it, or I wasn't interested in it.
See, they're fun, but they like the very first time was a really cool concept. Every single mod and alternating mods, and then they did it again and again and again. Now it's just like an overplayed scenario that people
That
get
was the
excited for.
most
Stop
fun
playing.
in racing I've ever had. Like I've so a little bit of background about myself. I've been paying Path of Exile since I think Bloodlines or around that time, and was a pretty big noob up until probably a couple leagues ago. I didn't really know much about the game. I followed guys, didn't really do much. So when racing seasons came along, I'm like, wait, there are these half-hour and hour things where you have to be really good to do anything. I just ignored it. I didn't start getting into racing until I became better at the game, and then also just decided let's try it out. I think it was during one of the leagues where I was pretty burnt out, and I decided let's try it out. Let's just see what this is all about. And they were pretty fun. The hour ones were okay, but I felt like I didn't have enough. I wasn't good enough to get anything from it. So at that point, it was kind of like a waste of time. You could say it's practice, but for me, I felt like it was kind of a waste of time. But then when they came out with that 2 week flashback, that was so good. Like so many mods on and just rippy as hell.
Yeah, but once again, that's not really this. That's completely different than like a race. That's like racing in the sense of having a race season. That's pushing it to the limit and getting as high as level, competing against competition. A 2 week race. The only people that can really compete for like the alt-art demigods are the people who know life the entire thing and are really good at the game. Other than that, all you're competing for is MTX or chance of winning an MTX reward at like if you hit level 70, if you hit level 80, etc.
I
don't think those are
almost
worth
won a
it.
demigods in that one. I got to rank 21 ranger, and my internet cut off for the last 4 hours of the race.
Yeah, but how much did you really have to put into that?
I made 4 level 90 pluses. So yeah, a lot of time. I actually took
See?
vacation for it because it looked really fun. And
I want to spend my hour, 45 minutes or whatever it is, 50 minutes, and be done with it.
Oh, I'm
And-
saying I think they should do both. I mean, there are people like me where I like the longer races where the amount of time I can devote to something.
That's like a mini league, though.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Yeah, but there's definitely a place for
Well, I
both.
think 2 weeks is too long.
Okay, example. Remember the 2 week thing that they did, and it was a flashback, and it was a flashback on top of Parandus, and it was just Parandus flashback?
That was dumb.
I mean, come on.
I mean, it's the same concept. It's just they're essentially mini leagues, and you compete in the, or people, a lot of people do them at least in the beginning, just because, like I said, at level 70, level 80, you get a chance of winning MTXs, and it's
Right.
fun to do for a little bit. There are the people who really get into it, but even if you get really into it, a week or 2 weeks later, they're gone.
What do you
I
think
don't think
about
it's very
the
comparable
48
to a
hour one?
race.
There was like that weekend flashback. What do you think about that?
Uh,
Is that short enough to where it's considered a race and actually requires skill, or is that just? And how much hours can you chuck into this and actually?
Yeah, that's probably another one of how long can you
yeah, I
stay
mean,
awake.
Because I made
that's
10th place in that. And I'm proud of that. I got a demis. I'm happy.
Which
Did
I
you
mean,
stay
there's
awake?
nothing wrong with having a 48 hour, and the people that top 10 have probably been awake for 30 plus hours, 35
Yep.
plus hours, whatever it is.
Yeah, 36.
yeah, I did 36 hours in the last 48 hours.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah.
But like if they somehow would have to go back to the asynchronous racing. I don't know if that's in your schedule here. That
So
they
yeah,
keep
yeah.
talking about.
This is definitely part where I did want to talk about asynchronous racing. There was a question about if racing's broken, and if it is broken, how can GGG fix it? And speaking of asynchronous racing, right now it's synchronous racing. So if you guys aren't familiar with that terminology, everyone starts at the same time and everyone ends at the same time. It's an hour long. Whenever you get in there and you start is up to you. If you start with the rest of them, or if you start 30 minutes in, it's going to end at that hour marker, no matter what. Asynchronous racing means that the races are up. You can join the race when it starts or whenever you're able to start it, and you have an hour to do that. You have your own hour, and whenever you can play it, you can play it. And what do you guys think about which would you prefer, asynchronous or synchronous?
I think the best way to go about it would be some sort of mix, because there are some races that just won't work as asynchronous, like a boss kill race the way they do them now, where everybody gets the same layout.
Yes.
Obviously, if someone runs it first, you just watch them. You know how to kill the boss.
Yep.
You know how to get there fastest. But I think that if they do ever get around to implementing them, it'll be a huge boost to participation. But I'm still not entirely sure, because the reason they said they pulled away from this season was because it lowered participation in the concurrent running challenge league, whatever it is. And I don't really know if making races asynchronous would change that fact.
I think
Helmannn?
for as far as the asynchronous synchronous thing goes, back when like racing, they kept doing season after season, and when we first started talking about it, I thought the best thing would be have like maybe one asynchronous race a day on top of like all the other races, because races are most fun when you're actually competing like head to head. Like you get to see your name in lights, you get to see the other person like slightly ahead of you, and you're pushing to beat them. Having an asynchronous race doesn't really do that much for like it's cool because you still have a chance of winning if you're not online at time to do that race. But that's the only thing it helps. It helps if you can't make the race and you still want to like make it up to get the points. But other than that, I don't think it's better for like a race the racing community as a competition goes.
Yeah, I want the bragging rights of, hey, I was the first to enter mudflats or whatever. And, a lot of people, they just make their name just to be shown so they're first.
Yeah, I can definitely see the benefits of asynchronous racing, because like if you like sleeping, you might be able to do the headhunter race that's at 4 a.m. and you're in the middle of sleeping and you'd have to stay up all night in order to get to it if you wanted to play it. But then at the same time, a lot of what Waggle said, there's just certain races that just won't work because people stream the game, and if you can wait an hour and wait till somebody else does it, now you have the entire layout and you can min-max it. And then on top of that, if you really wanted to try hard, you can make multiple different accounts, race with one account, record that progress or keep notes, then race on a different account, and then now you can get better, and then race on a different account and get better. And I don't know, I definitely see disadvantages of that, and I definitely see the advantages of the asynchronous, or I'm sorry, synchronous racing, where you can do. I mean, you're pushing hard because when you type slash ladder, there's a guy right on your ass. And when I did the 24-hour or the 48-hour flashback, me and the 11th place, literally until the last minute and a half, were flip flopping back and forth, and that was like when I had like my stream kind of keeping track of like where I was in experience, how close I was, how close he was, if I was gaining, if he was gaining, etc. And my adrenaline was fucking pumping. I was like pushing as hard as I could, and like the last minute and a half, I pulled ahead and I won. And with asynchronous racing, I don't think you would get any of that. Like you're pushing yourself, but it's not the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, all it helps is, in my opinion, is at the during a race season, there's point rewards at 1,000 points. You get like the best reward of the season, and it helps you make races that you can't normally make in order to get the points you need throughout the season. But other than getting like being able to accumulate points you wouldn't normally be able to get, I don't think there's any other benefit to asynchronous racing.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you guys, what is y'all's favorite race type? Why and what's the worst race type?
You can go first.
All right. My favorite, I don't know. I like all the crazy ones. I like Blamped, Headhunter races, the Exiles races. If I had to pick one recently, it's probably Headhunter. I used to hate it when they first did it because it's kind of funky if you try to play a caster during it, since all the Headhunter buffs basically, most of them only scale attacks, and then the ones that do scale spells pretty much only scale physical spells, and nobody used those in races, so it took a lot of getting used to. But when you get going in a Headhunter race, it's so much fun.
One of my favorite races. They don't really do them anymore, but it was like Latif, and it was basically like a Blamp race, but also it was what like all damage is converted to fire damage or something like that, and enemies explode on death. And they added a Lactif one, which is basically the same like Blamp, like super challenging race where everything explodes into flames when they die, but it was also cutthroat. So like in the middle of all this shit going down, people were like invading instances and PvPing and stuff like that. And back when they had those, I think it was like season 3 or season 4. Those were probably my favorite races they've ever done.
I'm a really big fan of Ledge. Endless Ledge, I don't know why. That and Descent. Descent Champions all the way. I love that one.
See, I'm behind you with the Descent Champions, but Endless Ledge is just when you're pushing it, like trying to max like be number one, it's just so much RNG.
Oh yeah.
That makes it so frustrating.
That's why I like it. Because you start needing those like level 12 skill gems and whatnot, and you're just like, I can't find anything better.
Yeah, I prefer like the Headhunter race. I think it's really fun. Exiles Everywhere is also really fun because there's just so much loot. They're both pretty fun. And I've never had a headhunter, so having a headhunter for a temporary portion is pretty fun too. Although with the way the servers are nowadays, I don't think I want a headhunter. Every time I see a stream with a headhunter, it's like 0 to 2 frames per second, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll pass. I'm good. I like my frames.
Yeah, I had a pretty short argument with someone the other day about like, I was talking about the Headhunter because I've been pushing to get one on the Temp League, and he was like, "Yeah, none of the top clear speed builds use Headhunter. It's not good." And I was like, "That doesn't make any sense. You get the buffs and you go so fast. How can it not be good?" Lag.
Yep.
You
It's not
lose
that the
clear
item's
speed
not
just
good.
from the lag.
Yeah, every time you see somebody with a headhunter, the moment they get like 5 or 6 buffs, the moment they cast the skill, it's all of a sudden like 5 frames per second. It's kind of insane how bad it is.
I'm
It's
wondering
not
if we'll
good.
see that effect this weekend with the races.
I'm really hoping that they fix whatever that is. And some people say that it's not the PC, it's the server lag. Some people say it's your PC or the way damage is calculated. Who knows? Maybe Xbox will fix everything. um,
So how do you shadow?
yeah. How exactly do you shadow?
How do
I've
you
heard shadow's
shadow,
good in
man?
races,
You throw a lot of traps,
and then you
and then you
run,
just
right?
keep moving. Yeah, that's pretty much how you shadow.
Will you teach me how to shadow?
We're talking about we just did that. That's how you shadow. It's a 2-step process. Well, I guess there's 3 steps. The first step is you target the enemy, and then you throw the trap.
Ah, yeah.
And
You
then
don't want
you,
to just throw it anywhere.
Oh.
yeah, that would really do a whole lot.
Makes
Little
sense.
known fact: you can't actually break barrels or boxes with traps unless something else triggers them. They just goofed up the programming, and the traps don't recognize the barrels as a threat for some reason.
There are barrels that have hurt me before. I know for sure of that.
That's why you flame dash through them.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your guys' preferred classes and why? Guessing Shadow.
Yeah.
Both of
I
you
mean,
prefer Shadow?
Nah, I've played Duelist since I played Templar when I first started getting into racing, just because Crypt played Templar, and I was like, I want to be like Crypt.
Yeah.
But then I started playing Duelist when Leap Slam was the meta, where you literally just leapt around and one shot everything and cleared by Leap Slamming and no other ability. And it was really fun, and no one else was really good at it, or there's only one other person good at it. So I got good at Duelist and stuck with it. It's not There's very few races where I will get number one overall, just because casters are inherently better because they can clear while moving.
Yeah.
But I prefer it, so that's what I
And their
play.
gems scale with levels, so it's not like RNG and where you have to find a good weapon.
Right.
What
Now,
are
if
we
I
talking
started
about?
off with Shadow, and then I eventually went to Ranger once.
once when? Cut out.
Shrapnel shot.
Oh, Shrapnel
Oh,
Shot.
I'm sorry. They added
Shrapnel
shrapnel
shot
shot, and
is
that
pretty
changed it.
nice. I can confirm to that. Makes playing bows for the first like 12 levels not feel miserable. Because I remember for a while, I don't think you got a single good bow skill until like you got to Mervale's caves. It was like, was Rain of Arrows even? Helmannn might know this. Rain of Arrows was like, wasn't it higher level for a while?
Um,
I don't even know
I
what level Rain of
no,
Arrows
it
is
used to
for.
be used to get it at level 4, like way back in the day.
I remember,
Because
I don't
in
know what
Blamp
I was.
races, you'd be using it in ledge.
I used caustic arrow at like low levels on. I don't know if it was a ranger or something. I forget what or why. But this is when I first got started racing, so I might have just been going with the wrong strategy, or it might have been single target. It was poison arrow, whatever you want to call it at the time. Just had the highest DPS.
Oh, it was Nubler, one of my really good friends from back in the day, who was one of the top ranger racers. Set the best witch record on whatever the sig race was for that signature race was for that season by using poison arrow, and he found a was the +1 +2 all skills bow, or +2
Silver
bow
branch.
bow.
Silver
Yeah,
Branch?
back
Yeah,
before it was nerfed, and just used that the entire time and set like a huge record, because that was back when casters weren't very good, and it was just there's so many good memories from racing.
So because I'm not a good racer, I picked the class that I feel like nobody's gonna play. Like
That's a
typically
good
when,
strategy.
yeah, typically whenever they do the races where like each class gets something, I pick like Marauder or Templar or Scion even. Because like I said, I don't have much experience racing. I've only got like a season or two. I have one actual season and then a bunch of the weekend races and the 48-hour race and 2-week race or whatever. So because I was still new and I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to compete with the Shadows. I'm not going to be able to compete with probably even the Rangers. I was trying to think of like the worst classes for races, and then I just went with those. And I did all right. There was a couple times where like Marauder in one of the Blamped team races, me and one guy, we went Ancestral Totem and just totemed our way to, I think he got third and I got sixth overall, Marauder, which was pretty good. But like I said, I mean, I've got nothing compared to what you guys have. How many do you guys have a count of how many demis you guys have won?
No.
no.
Anywhere, any idea?
Do you guys just vendor them at this point, or what?
No, they kind of just sit there in those remove tabs that are, you know, quarantined on the far right side of my stash.
All like 6,000 of them.
It's
I
not
did
that many. Maybe for Helmannn it is.
Would
back when
you?
I only raced and didn't actually play the main game. I spent all my currency, like the currency I had was from that I found in races, and just kept, like, didn't delete the characters, just kept the currency at the end. I used all my currency to make 2 stash tabs. This is back season 1 and season 2. All the demigods were demigod helmets, and I made all of them have the exact like matching helmets with sockets and colors and links, so I can flip through the tabs. And so the only difference between the 2 tabs is the colors. So you flip through the 2, and it's just like a rave of demigods.
Ah, things you do when you have too many items. I remember when I first got my demis, I was still playing hardcore at the time, so I was scared to redeem it in the league because I'd waited until you could redeem in the league. I'm like, well, I only have one, so the odds of me grabbing it out and then maybe potentially dying, I'm like, I don't want to lose it. And then eventually I'm just like, you know what? There's no reason to not use it because I earned it. I want to have fun with it. So then I end up using it. I actually didn't rip it, which was cool. I mean, it went to standard anyways eventually, but um, yeah, it was cool. It was a nice chess piece. Helped with stats while you're leveling up. Gives +1 to everything. Good chess piece. But
So I was gonna ask you guys, do you guys prefer grouping or just solo when it comes to racing? Like Excel's
I
everywhere
think
and
at this
whatnot.
point, I have a lot more fun in the party races, but it's probably because since racing has kind of declined in popularity, there's not a ton of competition in the solo ones. There's not a lot in the party ones either, but like it's different. You get to have fun because you're playing with your friends.
There's like almost nobody in those party ones
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's usually we got Team NA, which is like me and Hellman and Moores and whoever else is on at the time, and then Team EU with Rise and his squad.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it seems like there's only like a couple teams that like are very competitive at the top, but then the rest are just kind of like struggling. And that goes kind of into the part where is the race because they're not doing race seasons anymore. Is racing just dying in general, or do you think that GGG is gonna try to make it come back? I know it's on the back burner now, but do you think they'd ever try to push it, or it's
Well,
just
I
not
think
worth it?
Chris has said in the past that he enjoys like he likes the racing part of the game, but I mean racing doesn't sell the game, like doesn't sell MTXs. Racing doesn't a lot of people play the game. It's like a minor part of the game, so they're not going to focus a lot of their resources on it if it doesn't sell.
Yeah, I remember him saying something to the lines of, "Making a race isn't the hard part; it's the rewards for the alt arts, like the actual like getting an artist to make the alt art items is the difficult part to make it worth for a race season." And
Yeah,
obviously,
but even then, they could do a season, but just do MTX rewards of some sort. You know, things that already exist. The only thing they probably couldn't do was like previous alt arts, because then a lot of people would get very upset about that.
yeah, I don't think they'd be too happy with that. All of a sudden, have some of the alt arts that are huge ticket items that now have a way to get them, which
Yeah,
prior they wouldn't.
So yeah, a lot of people were mad when they merged the Garena Russia server over because
Oh yeah.
they had their own
yeah.
sets of alt arts. And
That
for
killed.
me, I mean I have one of every single racing alt art that's ever existed. So, but like personally,
Aren't you special?
I'm like I
Not
was
to
like
brag or anything over your helmet,
I'm
just
not gonna I'm not gonna like sell them or anything. They're just like a collection, so it didn't really bother me. But there are a lot of people who like got really upset. That like I worked really hard to get these, and it's it's BS that this guy competed against 40 people to get his, where I competed against a bunch of people to get theirs.
He's not wrong in my opinion, in my
Like
eyes
Terrence
either,
Shiver.
or they rather, not he, but. I mean, I can definitely understand why, and then plus there was also even some altered items that were in Gorana that just had their own, like you couldn't even get it in US at all. So it was like that. What was that? The Iron Man helmet, I think is one, or was it? It was some red helmet that only the Gorana servers had, right?
I've never heard about
I didn't.
that.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. I
Really?
know about the pet.
Yeah, they have the Garena Mon or whatever.
Or was it a pet? I thought it was a helmet. It might have been a pet.
It's like that bright red little. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, it's
Looks like
probably
he's made
a
out of
pet.
rubber.
There's NTX that are like on the Chinese server or something.
Yeah.
There definitely was the Garena Mon pet was definitely one of them that only was from the Garena server,
Yeah,
but
I've seen a couple of those around.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any like tips or tricks to increase your racing time, your speed, anything to help out your new players to racing or people who just like racing and want to just make their time better?
You know, as a matter of fact, I do. I think the best tip that you can give people really is like, just get better at managing your inventory and get better at managing how much time you spend in town or doing stuff that's basically stuff that's not related to actually killing enemies and progressing through zones. Because let's be honest, it's not that difficult to kill monsters and then keep running. Everybody can do that. So once you learn the layouts, all that the only thing you have left to really save a lot of time is to just get rid of all your downtime, which is what happens when you're in town and when you're sorting items out or trying to figure out what piece of gear to drop, what to keep, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, a lot of it before that, the learning layouts is a big one. Um, is it Carve or Crame who has like video guides of layouts?
It's carve.
Carve. So I mean, he like people go through and like learn every single layout of a zone, or so you can see the natural trends of a zone. So when you enter, the exit is going to be like the top right, it's going to be the top left, and you're going to be down to the left. And knowing that stuff can save you a bunch of time because if you get lost, especially in like, say you're in like Vol Ruins, getting lost in there can cost you 3 minutes. But if
I
you go the right
hate that
way,
place.
you can save a lot of time. But on top of that, but other tips, I not to say tips or tricks, but what it comes down to is people can play at like a decently high level, but the difference between them and like elite racers, them knowing what they did wrong, all like or where they're losing time is basically like if you want to play Shadow, watch Dsfarblarwaggle stream or watch his videos on YouTube, or same with or watch Rises and see what they're doing that you're not doing wrong. You play Duelist, watch me. If you play, etc. Like just find someone who does what you do better than you and watch and learn. Because I mean, I know that's how I learned how to play Duelist. I watched ASDF Man, the guy who made the video about the triple dipping Blade Vortex this league, or triple stacking, whatever. He played Duelist way back in the day, and I watched his stream and talked to him and learned everything I knew from him. So that's how I got better.
I wonder if Sizz has been watching your videos on Duelist, because in the past couple races, he's been going pretty ham on the Duelist.
He tries.
I wonder if
It's
wonder
cute.
if you've taught him some things.
I'm pretty sure Hellmann's taught everybody some things.
Probably, yeah.
I think
I
that's
mean,
how
I,
it
I
started
still
out.
learn from other people too.
I think my biggest problem when I'm in a race is I don't have that racing mentality because I haven't done it enough or whatever. So I'll find myself in the very beginning racing, right? Like I'm trying to manage everything. I'm going as fast as I can, and then for some reason, sometime throughout that time frame, I'll end up just killing monsters, and I'll just kind of like zone and just like kind of like not really do a race anymore. Now I'm just killing. Now I'm just leveling, and I just like don't actually race anymore. So I guess maybe that's just my ADD where I'm not able to focus on a task. I just kind of like wander off and start killing monsters 2 levels above the zone. I'm like, oh, I need to go. How is that? Is there like
Yeah.
a number that you guys target for like levels under zone?
Not really for levels under a zone, but usually there's like levels you want to be
In
at
specific
certain
zones?
points. So like recently for at least for casters, I don't know if it's the same for duelist or melee or whatever, for Brutus, it's like ideally you would hit level 8 from the last pack before you enter the Warden's chamber with Brutus, because that's when you get your support gem, but you don't want to go past level 8 because you don't need any more XP at that point, and you're gonna, if you spend too much time leveling, obviously it's mostly wasted.
Yeah, yeah. I also talking about the layout thing. Yeah, it actually blows my mind like how you racers just have that. I mean, obviously you've done it so many times, it's kind of second nature at this point. But like when I'm racing, I'm like looking around. I'm like, I don't know where the hell to go, so I just kind of like do an outline of the whole area and end up revealing the entire zone, and then I finally find the door. And of course, it's across the map because it's one area that I didn't check because I didn't think it'd be there, so I left the other area, and so much wasted time. That's why I'd have to learn the zones of everything. Now I can tell you lab, and I know a lot about lab. But any other zone, I know there's like certain telltales. Like I just found out in Ledge, there's like 3 little totem dudes. Like when you go to the waypoint, 3 little totem dudes point to whichever side they are on the waypoint. It actually points to the big totem. But
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
I just found that out.
Never noticed.
In the warehouse, there's like the dead bodies of the guards laying across the doors or laying like on the side of the door, and those are the doorways you need to go to. I found that out a couple months
Yeah,
ago.
apparently those were like they didn't always used to be there. They got added. I don't really know when. 'Cause somebody showed it to me, and then I showed it to. I don't know if Hellmann already knew about it, but I showed it to like some of the other racers that had been around for a while and they had never heard of it. Like, and they went back and looked at VODs and they weren't there in the past. But like some things like that, it's really cool that they actually were adding things in.
I think every
That,
zone
like,
should
for
have
the
like
most part, they're cool
minute
racers.
details like that.
The dead body in Act 3, what, the marketplace? That was added in. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was added at some point.
Yeah. So what about looting? How do you guys know what to loot, and why would you loot certain things over another thing?
And do you have a filter specifically for that?
I do.
I
don't
don't.
think Hellman does.
I don't know how to make
Neither one of you
filters.
use filters?
No, he
I have
does.
one
Oh, you
for
do.
racing. But for the most part, like most of the stuff you end up looting is just what has the most vendor value. So like, you want magic items and rare items regardless of what they are because they're gonna give you alt shards or transmute shards. And then aside from that, really, like if you're a caster, you need to loot, your wand or your scepter with the right socket colors. And if you know how to mess with filters, that takes all of like 10 seconds to add. If you're melee, it's a little bit different because you have to keep picking up weapons and then you have to memorize all the weapon names. I don't know the weapon names. I don't know what level weapon a wood splitter is compared to like a poleaxe or polearm or whatever
Yeah.
they are called. I don't know for PG here if we're allowed to swear, but
Oh yeah, no, go for it.
all right.
Yeah, no
Yeah, no
holdbacks
PG.
here.
Um,
I mean, what it comes down to is just, for your specific class, like if you're gonna have zero RNG, like zero like extra loot that drops for you, like you don't get like any uniques, you don't get any like um GG rares that drop for you. Like base race you're gonna do, how many like for as a melee, I know I need like for an hour race, I probably need like four. I'm gonna need like 3 whetstones. I'm gonna need like 3 transmutes. I'm gonna need three, 4 alterations, like etc. Like stuff like that. I know I need which weapons I need. So as I go through the race, I need to make sure I have that stuff by a certain point so I can craft my next weapon and stuff like that. And same for like for casters, you need to make your +1 at this point to maximize your RNG. You need like just to maximize how much damage you can do. You can do the spell damage recipe and stuff like that. Like it's knowing when you need those things and making sure you do everything in your power to guarantee you have them.
when you first started, did you like make like a notepad and have like a list of like by level 8 I need this weapon, by level 12 I need this weapon and need to do this recipe, and by level 20 I need to do this, etc.? Did you like create any kind of like a guide for yourself or follow any guides?
I just learned it over time.
I made Notepad. I did for not for like stuff like that, but for the like alternate races, the descent champions. I had like set up notepads to tell me which zone to go to or which chest to loot because I didn't know what any of those were. I started relatively late. Like I was doing seasons when people had been racing those for like a year. So I would have when I didn't have a second monitor at the time either, so I was like actually tabbing
Oh
out
god.
in the middle of the race to check my notepad to tell me which chest to open, so I didn't get the wrong item, so I didn't miss my flasks or my crafting currency or whatever it was.
Yeah, I to this day I still have no idea what chest I should open or which area I should go into. I just kind of like I just pick random ones. I'm a casual racer.
I think in my head it's like curious alluring, curious alluring, curious alluring, or something. I can't remember. I just know I just alternate once I from the first one.
Yeah, when those races first came out, I did the same thing. But I'd get into the race and forget to like alt tab or like look at whatever I'd written down. So eventually, I just started guessing, and eventually, you guess right most of the time. Does suck. Sometimes you're like, oh, I get 2 alts out of this chest, and you get like 2 transmutes, 2 alts, and you're like, well, shit, that sucks.
And like I think Hellman mentioned a bit on the next topic, crafting tips. So just knowing like when to craft a new weapon. There's like there's or not chaos but there's recipes that you're able to do to increase an item's or to make a white item into a blue item with the guaranteed fizz roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things are very important. Plus also having a +1 to skills, scepter or wand. Or is it just a scepter?
Say again, sorry.
The recipes for like +1 to elemental skills, is that obviously each one is we don't have to tell what the recipes are, but is it for like a is there anything past level 1, or like when you make your crafting, like is there anything else you craft later on for wands or scepters or whatever?
Not really.
You just get your
Helmet
level
mentioned it
1 and then
earlier.
you're done.
Well, you don't want to do it on your level 1 weapon. You want to,
Well, I mean a plus
like,
1, sorry.
yeah, you want to get the +1. But what you used to do was, if you got your +1, you could also do, there's a spell damage recipe, which it's like the exact same thing as the physical damage one for weapons, but you use a chain belt instead of a rustic.
Oh, okay.
But that kind of fell out. You don't really waste time trying to deal with that anymore because they added the flat spell damage rolls, and those are just straight up better than spell damage early on. So you're usually better off like selling a chain belt that you find for alts, or using it if it has, something useful. It's generally not worth the hassle anymore. So as far as casters go, the +1 is really the only vendor recipe you do.
If you find extra quicksilvers, you can always do the movency recipe.
Oh yeah, but who actually finds extra quicksilvers besides Crane?
I
Man,
think I found 2 one time.
I can't give up my extra quicksilver. I want to use it so bad.
Well, once you get to 2, you don't really need a third one.
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah.
All right,
All
Vash, go
right.
ahead with the next question.
I was about to. Crafting tips. I mean, we just kind of talked about that, but I'm sorry, I was
The
looking
next
at the
one
wrong
after that.
thing.
I mean,
Best
there's always
skills
some
to
other
use.
things. Is once you basically for casters, what comes down to is the game's pretty easy enough that once you can do damage, you don't really need gear. Till you can just like walk through everything and one shot and two shot everything. So you don't really need to craft. At least as a melee, you do actually like once you have all your stuff, like once you have your weapons done, you just spend all your currency on whatever gear you have appropriate for the level. So, if I have an extra Alka chest, or Alka ring, anything, or gloves, try and get attack speed and damage, anything that improve my clear speed at all.
Yeah,
But you basically save that currency till the end.
Helmann's pretty right on the whole. Casters usually don't need a whole lot once you get your weapon and your damage. Just not having to get in melee range makes things a lot easier. But I would say for crafting, though, one thing that I do that works really well that's helped me is, so like when we say crafting, it's usually two different things. There's the vendor recipe crafting, which is how you get your +1 or your other weapons. And there's crafting, which is actually, click currency, click on item, and give the item stats. So what I usually do is the vendor crafting is much more important because they guarantee what you get, and they're generally the items that you need to hit like damage breakpoints. So I usually separate in my inventory anything that's going to be used for my +1 recipe. So like my first transmute, I need to make my +1 because the wand has to be blue. So when I get my first transmute, I'll like throw it over into a corner on the right side so I don't accidentally use it on my quicksilver, forgetting that you know, I need it later, or I don't accidentally buy an amulet. You want to make sure you organize your stuff so you don't waste what you need for the vendor crafting something else, and then when it comes to vendor time, you don't have the necessary items.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what are y'all's favorite skills and why? And for each character, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all
are there
have.
any specific like spells? We'll just pick one spell and one melee. So, Waggle can cover one spell, and then Helma can cover one melee. What do you think is like the most OP skill for doing a race? You pick
If
any
we're talking about
class.
the most OP, definitely lightning trap. Nothing else even comes close. The second you hit level 12, if you have like, that's why it comes down to the whole casters are really OP. So if I hit level 12 and I make my +1, and I can immediately throw in my lightning trap and my multi trap and my added lightning, and then for like the next hour, I can one shot every pack that I throw traps at.
Yeah, casters are
So
broken.
they're not broken. It's just an alternative racing style.
For melee, like I said, when I first got into racing, the one reason I picked Duelist is because Leap Slam was like by far my favorite ability, but they have destroyed it. It's not nearly as good anymore. But now, I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's the best skill is Sunder because you don't even need that much damage because long as mobs like line up together, when it hits one mob, it like does a little AoE and hits the next mob. So you just stack up a bunch of mobs together, you're gonna one shot the pack no matter how good your weapon is.
Yeah, I really like Thunder as well. Would you say that you guys have mentioned a couple times that spellcasters OP? Would you ever say that melee is better than spellcasters given the right circumstance?
No.
Not really. It's not because of like the damage stuff though. The reason melee will never be better is because you have to run to the pack to kill it. So like if say you're running through a zone that's a straight line, and to your left and to your right there's packs of mobs. The caster just keeps running in a straight line and then attacks to the side. The melee has to zigzag between packs, so they just spend too much time running around. And that's really like I think that, in my opinion at least, that's the biggest disadvantage to being melee.
So I think with perfect gear, like throughout the entire thing, a ranger has a chance to beat a caster.
Yeah,
But
rangers can for sure.
I don't think a melee ever has a chance if they both have great like perfect RNG.
Now, what about the non-melee melee skills, like Sunder, for instance?
Not melee skills.
Yeah, let's be honest. Sunder's not melee.
Yeah,
Blade Flurry is
It's-
not melee. It's not.
I don't know. I
Sorry.
guess. Have you messed around with flurry at all? I don't know. Wait,
Um,
Blade Flurry is level 28, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of out of the question
yeah.
for most races, at least for this weekend coming up.
What comes down to Sunder is Sunder lowers your attack speed as well. So like same scenario, we're running down like a straight path. Wags throws two traps on his left and right and keeps running. They all die. I attack to my left, then I wait, then I attack to my right, then I wait, and I probably have to move forward and attack behind me again because you don't hit everything and you have a chance to miss and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it naturally just takes longer to kill things as melee, no matter how good the ability he uses.
Now, do you think any of the new skills that have been introduced since the last race season will influence any of your guys' decisions?
So we got Blight. No, just no.
Really? You don't think Blight's good? All right.
Blade Flurry, like I said, so the races are all 1 hour or less.
Yeah, they're
which
typically only
means
till like the 20 something.
you're not going to get Blade Flurry in any of them except for maybe the Act 3 alt start one.
And if you do, that requires you to one-hand your weapon, which means your weapon has to be really good in order to make up
Yeah, and
for.
it'd probably be awkward anyway. Is
And you don't
Scorching
have
Ray
aim.
level 12? It
Uh,
is, I think.
think so.
I'll double check. It's low
I'm
level.
sure some people
I
are
think
going to
it's
try it
low
out,
level though.
but oh no, maybe it's level 4. Either way,
No,
I
it's
don't
level
think
12,
it'll
you're
beat.
right.
I think what
Yeah,
it competes with is Firestorm, and I think Firestorm's going to still end up being better, but maybe Scorching Ray will show some sort of use. We'll have to see because I
Yeah.
haven't done any.
Well, you
I
can
haven't done
always,
any testing with
and I
it.
mean, Scorching Ray can always be used for Firestormers for bosses using a Scorching Ray spell totem just to
Yeah,
debuff the
something like that would
bosses
be really
and to
strong.
do a little bit of damage.
Now, how about the more melee spells, like so we'll say Blade Vortex? How strong is that in a raid? And did the
Not
change affect
really at
that?
all. No.
It's
The
only
problem
good
with
for
Blade,
headhunter races.
yeah,
Ah, okay.
until you get like duration and cast speed. If anyone's ever played Blade Vortex like early on, it just the difference in how it feels then compared to at high levels is it's a almost entirely different ability, and it just doesn't function well in a race. Like Helen said, Headhunter's a different story because that's where you get potentially infinite cast speed, and that solves one of the two problems that you're missing.
Yeah, that makes a lot
And
of
a
sense.
bunch of extra damage. But I mean, there are the like Descent Champions where Wags found out you could use Essence Drain and Contagion while you don't use that in a normal race. Use that in that race, and it's just broken.
Yeah, that's another one where like Essence Strain Contagion in normal races doesn't work because you don't have enough AoE on your Contagion. Like just base contagion AoE sucks. I don't know what they were thinking with that to make it such a low level skill, but then you try it and it just feels awful. But Descent Champions, you get these two swords that give you like, I don't know, 20% AoE each or something like that. And you actually end up with what looks pretty close to an end game contagion during the race. And I think that it's awesome that you can do that. It's so much fun being able to race with different abilities, but we don't get to see it a whole lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems like there's like the cookie cutter things, and like since everyone knows that it's cookie cutter and it's so good, you got to do it, or else you're not going to compete. Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, and what's your favorite race? Why? You could pick just one race that's your favorite race that you have the most fun with.
Didn't I ask that question?
Yeah.
You asked that in the beginning.
Yeah,
What'd you
I
go
was
out of
looking at
order
a
for,
different.
man?
I was looking at a different sheet than you.
Jeez.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I remember hearing the answer, but I thought we talked about it prior, like before the podcast or something.
No, just leave it up to Polab to mess it all up.
Good job, man. Good job. We had a script and you fucked it. So, all right. So, who's gonna be the Xbone racer? Which one of you two are gonna take one for the team, go to Xbone, and become the best racer?
I haven't turned my
I
Xbox on
volunteer
in 3 years.
I know,
4
right?
Do you have an
years?
Xbox?
Yeah.
I bought an
I haven't,
Xbox
I
One to play the new Halo, and I haven't played anything on it since.
haven't used
Yeah,
it since I
see,
graduated college.
I bought a PS3 way back to play the new Final Fantasy, and we all know how that game turned out, so I stopped buying consoles to play games.
Yeah, I told myself I was gonna stop buying consoles too, but then there's like that one game that you're like, I just want to play that one game. Why isn't it on PC?
I have a Sega.
Nice.
That's about it.
One of my roommates brought a Super Nintendo up, and it
Yes.
was so much fun to play on.
Yeah, I've got one around here somewhere. My brother has it. I don't know, but that's probably the only console I've used in the last like 2 or 3 years.
How do y'all feel about that, by the way? Racing on Xbox, if they do racing on Xbox.
Yeah, I have no idea if they're gonna do it on Xbox. Do you guys think they
I
would?
I wouldn't count on it,
I wouldn't think so either.
but I mean, if like if Xbox people wanted to do races, it would. I don't see it being too different from PC unless there's going to be some changes. We already know about that for the Xbox version. Maybe one of them completely screws over racing somehow. We'd have to see about that.
Dude, you get your chance at that badass alt art, whatever you never got over there. What if they did something like that, where the old like Alpha's House, for example, they released it on there because they can do that because it's not in the server.
That wouldn't affect me. I mean, if as long as you can't transfer your items from Xbox over to PC, I would have no motivation to play over on Xbox.
Would you go over there and try to win one?
Probably not.
Yeah, that'd probably be a negative for me as well.
Yeah, I don't see
I
myself.
feel like
doing
I'd
it.
probably be terrible anyway.
Yeah,
Like
same.
people that actually know how to use controllers still.
All right, there's a question from chat. We're gonna start opening the floor for questions from chat. So if you guys have anything at a specific person or in general of the whole group, you can ask. So far we have Helmannn. What's your favorite alt art?
I really like. There's a couple that I really like. The Altart Storm. Anytime I do a bow build, if I'm doing it late enough in the season, I'll try and trade for the Altar Stormcloud. It's like really bright white and like kind of glows a little bit. Looks really cool. And it's one of the ones you get for pretty cheap. At least last time I did it, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when I did a bow build, I was able to buy it from someone for like two or three exalts, and skin transfer it over. The Faircase tricorn helmet that goes with it. It's white, has like a blue feather sticking out of it, and then it's a lightsaber. What is it? Prismatic Eclipse, I
Prismatic
think.
Eclipse, yeah.
And
sold
it looks
mine.
really
I was
sweet,
an idiot.
especially with a good enchant, a good weapon MTX enchant on it just makes it look amazing.
How do you deal with RNG disadvantages during a race to recover lost advantages? I'm gonna direct
To
that at both of you
recover
guys.
lost advantages.
Well, how do you
I
deal with
mean,
RNG disadvantages? Say you're just during your entire race, you're not having any luck. You're not getting the weapons you need. You're not getting potions. You're not getting, it's going bad, is what I'm saying. Is there? Do you have any special ways to overcome that just by, being good? Besides just saying
not
get good.
really.
You stream and you bitch and you complain about it and hope that streamer RNG kicks in.
A lot of times when I
Streamer
bitch, it
RNG.
actually turns out to work.
Yeah, I mean that is one alternative, but we're not supposed to talk about that one.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
my bad.
But really, like if you just have a race where nothing goes your way in terms of RNG, I mean, like you can just keep trucking through it for practice, but you're probably not going to win or place wherever you wanted to because like there's kind of a limit on how good your RNG can be, other than like being super insane. But as far as really bad RNG goes, like, it just feels awful compared to a regular run. You can't do anything, no damage, no matter how hard you try.
Seeing
You
is
just gotta.
and there's a big difference between like doing a normal race, doing like a descent champions, like so if you're doing like a descent champions, you're guaranteed to have currency drops, you're guaranteed to have items from the chests. Like even if nothing else good drops. Oh, everything could roll terrible, but you're guaranteed to at least have that much. When you're doing a normal race, you can do vendor recipes. When it comes to something like Endless Ledge, you literally get nothing. And if you're playing like a melee class, you could just never get your weapons to drop. Like I know Morris has had plenty of races where he doesn't get a tribal ball or a mallet back when ground slam was a thing. He like and there's nothing you can do between at level 8 you need to use a tribal ball, level 12 you need to use a mallet. Nothing drops between level 7 and level 17. Like you're gonna be hitting with a wet noodle. And even if something does drop, if you don't have the currency to roll it, or even if you have the currency to roll it, if it doesn't roll well, you're like someone else finds something good, you're screwed.
Yeah. There's another question. Helmannn, what are some tips and how do you style your hair?
I wash it and I don't put any product in it. Other than that,
Well, there you go, boys. Just wash your hair. That's
and
it.
All right,
I
so
comb it. Yes.
Oh, comb it as
lightning
well.
arrow or rain of arrows? I don't know. I say lightning arrow.
It depends. In a racing scenario or in general. I'm guessing in when it pertains to racing, I say lightning arrow as well.
Yeah, I don't know which one they use, but I'm gonna vote lightning arrow.
I'm not sure either.
Probably
I
giving
know
people bad info.
Rain of Arrows used to be what you used. I don't know what with perfect gear, Lightning Arrow is always going to be better, but with bad gear, Rain of Arrows is probably better. But you have to buy both. You have to buy different support gems for either one. So
The lightning arrow just sounds so much cooler when you use it. I
Right.
think you really gotta factor that part in.
oh, apparently Rain of Arrows, the one in the chat says.
If you want to win. I don't think that was the question. I think it's just which one we preferred. Yeah, I don't know. I have never used Rain of Arrows. I don't even know if I've ever used it for more than a level. I might have socketed it once and used it, maybe. But, like I said, as far as racing goes, I've only played with Lightning Arrow whenever I play Ranger. That's like my go-to. I use Shrapnel Shot to Lightning Arrow.
Did anybody else have any questions or anything to get ready for race season this weekend? Race weekend.
Race weekend, 4 days. It starts in 4 days, and there's a lot of cool ones coming up. I mean, they're not. It's not the worst. It sucks that it's a weekend, but there's some really cool MTXs that you can win, and
Sucks that it's a weekend. What does that mean?
it's not a
Much better than-
season. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It sucks that it's not a season.
It should only be 4 hours of racing. It's getting in the way of my
Well,
real PoE
The
experience.
frustrating thing that I have is that they're doing like this hour on, hour off bullshit. I don't understand what's up with that.
Yeah.
Just have
Gives
one every
everyone-
hour, just so that you can play fucking 12 hours straight if you want. Why is there a delay?
Because if you're like pushing to be number one, like if intense competition, like you won't be at the start of the next race if they run literally back to back to back.
Okay,
They could do
fine.
like
Delay
less
it
than an
5
hour
minutes.
downtime, but they
Well,
gotta
the,
do
if
some
you
sort
delay
of
it 5
downtime.
minutes, then that
Plus the
messes up the whole
time's all
schedule.
up.
All right, I think we have time for like what, 1 or 2 questions?
Yeah, probably 1 or 2 more questions. I'll try to think of anything. Have you guys ever raced together?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they're a
Every
team.
single party race.
that's what I figured.
I was trying to remember
Fail.
this race from a few seasons ago. Hellman knows what I'm talking about, but the Tormented Spirit one.
Uh,
Did you survive that, or were
yeah, I
you
was like the
among
only
the
one that
casual?
survived.
It was me and
So I
you.
was in the
Yeah.
back.
So
Oh,
we
you
did
survived too?
yeah. I was running. I was in like prison. There's a Tormented Spirit race. I don't know if there's any this weekend. I think there is.
I
I
can
should
pull
probably
that
have the
up.
schedule up, but it's
We,
kind of like the Exiles one, but instead of 20 exiles, it's 10 ghosts. I think per zone, and it's a party race.
yeah, I remember.
And we had our group of me and Hellman and Moores, and I think Garotha maybe. I don't remember exactly who
At
it
least 2 other
was.
people.
But I was running ahead because I'm the shadow, and my job is to just run ahead and get to Brutus as fast as possible. So like, I'm in lower prison or upper prison, and everybody else is like farming climb. And there's just suddenly out of nowhere, I hear people yelling and mumble. I'm looking at my chat feed. I see Morris has died. Other party member has died. Other party member has died. Other party member has died. And then like Hellman survived somehow. I don't know what happened, but like, so we go back. I looked at the VOD and there's like 4 ghosts or 5 ghosts together that just run through a pack of leaper goats, and they just plowed through everyone at like warp speed and one shot the whole party. Somehow
Wow.
Hellman weaseled his way out of it.
I was looting.
That actually was one question that I wanted to ask. You guys already kind of answered it. It was the most memorable moment when racing. Would that be your most memorable?
Probably, actually. That's like the first thing I think of a lot of the time when someone asks like my favorite moment from racing.
I think it was the beginning of season, like the very first 1 hour race from season 2. It was they had nerfed. I forgot where we had farmed before. I think that they nerfed Western Forest is where people had been farming. They nerfed like the exploders because it used to be if exploder explodes, you get the experience whether you damage them or not. But they
You know
nerfed
what?
that,
That's OP.
That
and so
is
they took
really
that
OP.
away.
Just run past everything and they all blow up.
Yeah, that's what you
Best
did.
build ever.
And they nerfed that, so no one knew. This is back where you actually farmed like that area for um those races, and ASTF man was like I said before, the best duelist racer, and I was competing against him. He was in Mumble with like Crip and Cybrix and all of them, and I was by myself or probably talking to like Noobler and doing the race, and I was like number one overall. But every time I like type slash ladder, he was like 1K behind me, 5K behind me. He was ahead of me, and like it was just neck and neck. And I went back and watched the VOD, and you heard like everyone in Mumble talking to him, telling him, "Go to this zone and farm. Go to this zone and farm. He's farming here. You need to do this." And I'm just sitting there in the zone, like trying to do everything I could. I ended up beating him, and it was like the best feeling ever to actually win a solo demigod by beating the person who you learned everything from. It was like a really cool experience.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And would you say you have any arc rivals? Is there anybody that you consistently compete against and they're like always on your ass, or you're? Is there anybody that's on your level that is really giving you the run for your money right now? Races, well, or back when races were a thing during season.
I would say Rise, but he keeps experimenting with like shitty classes like Scion. And I just
He's bored.
I don't know what
now.
he's doing playing Scion. It's hard to watch, man. Watch him fall.
Painful, huh?
The most consistent, I guess, people I compete against are Fightgar and Ziz, but I wouldn't consider them on my level yet.
Trying, huh?
All right, last question. Sir Cushington wants to know, how about the most luckiest moment in a race?
That's a good question.
See, the Hybris is he normally plays Marauder, but he also plays Duelist. And there's been plenty of races throughout the seasons where he's gotten like a limb split drop, or he's gotten unique poleaxe. I can't think of his name right now. He had that to drop. So, and I've just been sitting there like through all my racings, I've never gotten in a solo race. I've never gotten like a GG like unique to use. And I wish I had. I'm hoping for that one day where I get one, but until then, I don't consider I've had any like especially lucky moments like that.
Say, I think the only luckiest moment I've ever had was it was a 2 minute burst from Act One, and I got movement speed off a hillock, and that was just game over. I think I was number 6 or something. I don't
Nice.
even know.
Yeah.
Best ever.
Actually, I remembered something that I had forgotten for quite a while, but unfortunately, my luckiest moment while racing is also one of my unluckiest, and it was like season 9 or 10 when I was like first kind of figuring out how to be good at racing. And it was an endless ledge, and I got a life sprig in the second zone, which for endless ledge is insane because you can't craft anything. So like finding any good weapons in endless ledge are just great. But so I was like actually on pace to get a demi, and I think it was going to be my first demi that I would have won in a race. But like halfway through the race, my internet just dropped, and I couldn't even finish the rest of the race.
Oof.
Needless to say, I was a little bit upset at the time.
Yeah, that happened. My
Just a
first demi's lost
tad.
because of Time Warner Cable. But I got my redemption, like I said. That was actually kind of cool. The 28-hour or 48-hour race. My luckiest drop was a tabula rasa, like at like level 25 or so. I think that's the reason probably why I even got top 10 tabula rasa that entire time, having a 6 link. I went ice trap saboteur. It was
Feels
so
pretty good.
Yeah, just being able to
If
run
we
around.
wanted to count those, though, count like a little bit of longer races, I did have. I don't remember how long the race was. Some of you guys might have participated in it, but it was before 2.0. They did the solo self-found race to like get into beta.
It was like
If
a
anyone
4-day
remembers
race or
those.
something.
Yeah, it was at least a few days, but I did the softcore version because I just didn't want to risk dying, and I was pretty confident that I could get top 50 or whatever you needed at the time. And I think I was at like level 70, mid 70s. I just started mapping, and my second map, I found Xana, and she opened an Untainted. And by the time I finished that map, I was like 6 levels ahead of the next guy on the ladder. That was pretty good feeling.
That was back before they nerfed Untainteds, right?
Yeah, and it was before they nerfed Flame Blast, so like even though I was super low level, just Flame Blast Pro Lift killed everything.
Ah, rip
Well,
proliferate.
guys, I believe this wraps up this podcast for the most part.
Yep. That's going to be the end of the podcast for today. This is our second episode of Poetalk. Look forward to next week's episode. We don't have the exact details on what that will be, but we will iron out the details and post the information on Reddit. If you're watching this on YouTube, information on all 4 streams will be down below in the comments section. And if you're currently live watching, I was going to host one of these guys, but they are all getting off and doing something. Waggle's going to be on later on. So make sure to catch his stream. And I've got plans after this, so I'm going to be heading out. So thanks to everyone for watching, and thank you, Waggle and helmannn, for both coming on. It was real short notice, but you guys are awesome, and you were able to be on here. It's awesome, man. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think it was a good little talk to have before the race weekend for anybody who is new or hasn't really shown interest but might be participating in any of the races coming up.
Do you think it's worth people? This is actually a question that somebody asked, which I meant to ask. Sorry, but do you think it's worth people to race now if you haven't been racing for a while? Like, is it even worth it? There's only weekend races every now and then. Are you even have a chance?
Never tried a race at all? I mean,
Yeah, like if you've
honestly,
never raced and you're like,
it.
oh, there's these races. This is all new to me. What is this? Is it even worth it?
Because even if you don't win, you might enjoy it. And like at the very least, anybody that's like watching, do the headhunter races. Play a bow class, play a ranger, do the headhunter race. And trust me, I can almost guarantee you will have so much fun playing those because it gets so crazy so fast. It's better than having a real headhunter because every single pack has a rare mob. it's something else.
All right, guys, that'll do it for tonight. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks everybody in the chat for asking your questions and whatnot. Chat participation is always great for these things. Like I said, this is going to be more of a community thing, so we want to try to include the chat as much as possible, as well as the streamers that are streaming every day in Path of Exile. We've got guests lined up already. It's going to be pretty sweet. You guys look forward to an episode of crafting with Norse and Non-Kinetic, myself, and Polab. That'll be a pretty cool episode. That might be next week. We're going to double check with Non-Kinetic and Norse, and hope you guys are interested in that, and I'll talk to you all next stream. Thanks, guys.